Welcome to the latest episode of Worldly Wise, the Federal's weekly program that attempts to peel the various layers of trending international issues. When United States President Donald Trump proclaimed he wanted to acquire Greenland, everyone almost fell off their chairs. What was Trump talking about? Was he being his usual unpredictable self? Was there a hidden meaning in his proclamation? After the initial shock, most analysts, governments, and everyone else brushed it aside as another of Trump's bluster, something meant to shock and awe. But over a month after his stated intention, it now transpires that Trump may not have been just doing it for effect, that there is substance in what the US president is saying, meaning that his intention may not be as outlandish as it sounds. In elections held earlier this week, Greenlanders surprised everyone by going against all forecasts and expectations by voting in the opposition center-right Democratic Party as the leading party. Of the 31 seats in the Greenland Parliament, the winner needs 16. The Democratic Party secured 10. It needs to form a coalition with the number 2 party, the Nunavut, which secured 8 seats. Nunavut, incidentally, is considered the closest to Trump, though it may not immediately translate into obliging the US president. The incumbent, Inuit Digit, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, the party of Prime Minister Moodbegin was pushed into third place, which is quite a political earthquake, as this party, popularly called AI, has been in power for several years and was thought to be invincible. We'll come back to the politics a little later. Greenland, so far, was a territory that rarely made news and which has now sent everyone scampering for their maps to figure out where exactly it is located. But now it is right up there, along with perpetual newsmakers like Gaza, Ukraine, and Russia, besides, of course, the US itself. An autonomous territory under the Kingdom of Denmark, Greenland is ice covered for the most part of the year. In fact, there are at times the depth of the ice sheet is about 4 kilometers. That's the kind of depth. The population is around 60,000. The indigenous people have their own language, Greenlandic, and identify themselves with the Inuit tribes that are also found in Canada. Though part of Denmark, Greenland technically is bracketed with North America. Contrary to its global profile, it is the largest island in the world. If considered a nation, it would have been the 12th biggest in the world. It is bigger than Saudi Arabia and larger than at least 11 European countries put together, including Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. In fact, it is 4 times the size of Texas in the United States. Now, Trump is threatening to acquire Greenland through a buyout from Denmark. This has naturally triggered opposition from a cross-section of people in Denmark, including the government and elected representatives. In Greenland too, people are reportedly apprehensive over Trump's intention. Yet, on the ground, the US is already present in Greenland. It has an operational military air base, the Pitufik space base, earlier called the Thule base, since the 1940s. The base was set up after being permitted by Denmark under the NATO umbrella. There are a few hundred US military personnel stationed there. 2 more, Camp Fist Clench and Camp Tuto, were in use for a short period in the 50s and in the 60s, between the 50s and 60s. In the 1960s, at the height of the Cold War with the then Soviet Union, the US government even set up an underground nuclear military base. It was called Project Iceworm and was capable of launching nuclear-tipped missiles. According to reports, this was done secretly, on the quiet, under the cover of a more benign research project called Camp Century. Eventually, as climate change occurred and the topography altered, the US found it difficult to keep it operational and abandoned the facility way back in 1966. But Greenland since then is sitting on a nuclear time bomb. Reports say by the year 2100, that is 75 years from now or thereabouts, the radioactive waste that is stored there is in danger of contaminating the ocean, waters, and the overall ecosystem, the consequences of which could be serious for environment and life. But anyway, that's another 75 years ahead. Right now, Trump's gaze is on Greenland for at least two key reasons. To the north is Russia and the Chinese presence in the Arctic region, making the US nervous. Earlier, the ice cap and the inaccessibility of Greenland acted as natural barrier. With change in climate, the melting ice is altering the various pathways around the island, tempting nations to utilize the area more extensively. Suddenly, the island finds itself at the center of geopolitical rivalries and tension. That is possibly compelling the US to have a bigger presence and a more direct control, since Russia and China could also use the waterways more extensively. The other crucial reason for Trump's seemingly outlandish demand to buy Greenland stems from the fact that it has huge quantities of untapped rare earth metals, meaning it's a new gold that is in great demand and extensively used around the world in artificial intelligence, computers, and mobile technology. It has yttrium, dysprosium, and scandium in sizable quantities, among others. According to a report, one near the southern Narsak town could hold as much as 12 million tons of these rare earth metals. Nations are desperately looking for new sources of rare earth minerals. For the US, Greenland could turn out to be well placed for exploitation. Already, Trump is in the process of brokering a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, with one of the not so hidden agendas being to get access to rare earth minerals in Ukraine. As for Greenland, the latest general election adds to the already existing demand for full independence from uh, Denmark. So, since 1953, when Greenland became part of Denmark, there has been a blow cold relationship between the two. Scandals have erupted in the past that exposed the Danish treating Greenlanders as second class citizens, forcibly separating Inuit children from their parents, and sending them to Denmark to civilize them, and using intrauterine devices on Greenland's Inuit women to prevent the population from expanding. In fact, in a referendum, Greenlanders opted for total independence some years ago, but that has not been implemented as people were not sure if Greenland could exist as a sovereign nation for economic reasons. But there is a gradual but perceptible move to become totally independent. This will help Trump, as it will then be up to the sovereign Greenland government to strike any deal with the US. Already, Greenland has been invited to be part of the US as a territory, wherein citizenship will be granted to Greenlanders. The island will be governed autonomously, akin to few other territories that the US similarly controls around the world, like Puerto Rico and the US Virgin Islands. So far, this is an idea that has not won many supporters in Greenland, many of whom have had a bitter experience living under Danish colonialism. They don't want to shift from one colonial power to another, a far bigger one and a powerful one at that.